Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and we have all the newsy news that I was able to uncover in this year of our Lord 2024 on January the 15th. Update to the missing backpack saga. We still haven't found it, and barring the youngest, most feral throwing it on our roof, which is not oddly out of the realm of possibilities, uh, it's in the dump. Because this is my life. So I hope you all had a wonderful Martin Luther King Day and have stayed warm and safe and out of the streets and cozy in your house. Or if you had to go to work, you were safe and you got there okay. Let's get to that news because I'm hoping you had a better day than at least this guy. A furious passenger smacks a pilot over a 13-hour flight delay in a wild video. Now, of course, this being the New York Times, this is not the video you're looking for because it's an owl. Now, let's see if we will go and change to the video we're actually looking for, because that would be helpful. Good evening, Rabbit. Nope, of course not. He swatted a flyboy. Footage captured the wild moment when passenger smacked a pilot after learning that the plane was delayed for 13 hours. A clip of the wild incident has amassed over 3.1 million views on X as commenters shamed the man for his behavior. The smackdown occurred on Sunday after Indigo flight traveling from Delhi to Goa in India was delayed more than 13 hours due to poor visibility caused by dense fog sweeping through the region, according to Jam Press. Pilot Anup Kumar announced the situation, which apparently did not sit well with one of the passengers. Identified as Sahil Katarai, India Today reported. Look, again, Duct Tape and Holy Water Productions apologizes for the way our producers and presenters pronounce things, but they honestly can't read. Footage shows the incensed flyer, who is wearing a yellow hoodie, charge up the aisle and smack the pilot with his open hand as onlookers cry out in shock. Quote, "If you want to fly, then fly the plane," he yells at Kumar, who is seen backing into the cockpit. "Otherwise, open the door." At that point, a flight attendant gets between the two, while Kataria is grabbed by a fellow passenger in a sky blue hoodie and ushered back to his seat. The aforementioned crew member then bursts into tears and lays into him, screaming, "This is wrong what you did. You cannot do this." Hello, HT. In a separate clip, the passenger is being escorted off the aircraft by armed guard before apologizing to Kumar on camera. Well, that's good. At least he apologized and he was taken off the flight. You don't get to be all irritated. Look, everyone else is delayed 13 hours too. Both the pilot and airline have since filed police reports against Kataria, who was arrested by the Delhi police. Viewers were quick to shame the traveler over the assault. Quote, "Frustration does not give the passenger a right to physically assault a crew member," one declared. Another wrote, "This maniac should be put on a no-fly list for at least 3 years." However, others criticized Indigo for its alleged gross incompetence preceding the incident. Many cited the fact that the pilot did not communicate the reason for the delay, although they admitted it didn't justify the attack. Yeah, look, fog is not in their purview to control, but maybe a little more communication would have been nice. How about don't smack the crap out of your pilot if you want him to be nice and maybe not crash you? Quote, "Both airlines and passenger were at fault here," one wrote. X is full of complaints against Indigo, where they are not communicating the delay and status correctly with passengers taking them for a ride. On the other hand, no amount of frustration gives anyone the right to physically assault anyone. That's criminal. Yeah, it's really cold. Fry has not been happy about having to go outside. I'm beginning to think he has no husky in him, except when he does his talking, where he goes, that is definitely a husky thing. So that's about the only husky thing he has in him because he is not liking this cold. Yes, it is super de duper cold. So I hope everyone is staying warm and, being safe because I want everyone to be safe. Indeed, the incident comes amid a torrent of complaints against Indigo on Saturday. A Bollywood actress named something claimed on Instagram that she and her fellow passengers were locked inside an Indigo flight's jet bridge at the Mumbai airport for several hours due to a crew change. Good evening, JKD Buck. Quote, I had a flight at 8:30. It is 10:50 now, and the flight has still not boarded, she griped in the post. But the flight said we were boarding and put all passengers in an aero bridge and locked it. The passengers with small babies, elderly people have been locked in for over an hour. The security won't open the door, and the staff has absolutely no clue. Holy, yeah, no, that would not. Don't lock me in a small place with a bunch of people. That is not a nice thing to do. Good evening, Squab Bob. I hope you're doing great. She also said, quote, I managed to escape briefly to speak to the very stupid staff woman outside who kept saying there was no issue and no delay, smiley face. Now I'm locked inside and they just told us that we will be here until 12 p.m. all locked in. No water, no loo. Thanks for the fun ride. Yeah, maybe Indigo is like their Spirit Airlines and maybe hard pass unless you're really, really needing to fly somewhere really, really cheap, and it's kind of like the Waffle House of the skies. You kind of go there for a flight and a show. Sometimes. Just saying. In a weird story, and I do mean weird, quote, a devil. Woman allegedly strangles or neck hugs girlfriend whom she believes gave her an STD, leaves body on hiking trail. As you do. Because, breaking up is hard to do, so why not, neck hug? People have gone round the bend. A Houston woman strangled her girlfriend whom she believed gave her a STD during an argument on a Texas hiking trail where she left her body, authorities said. Shanna Lanice Turner, 24, was charged with murder in the killing of Tiara Horn, 18, who had been missing since January 2nd. Family members reported her missing on January 4th. Horn's body was found by police searching an area near Buffalo Bayou at 1900 Nance Street in Houston at 5:40 p.m. on January 5th. An autopsy later found her cause of death was compression to her neck, and the manner of death was homicide. Citing court documents, Houston NBC affiliate KPRC reported details about the motive for the unaliving. Rokisha Clalton told the station that her sister's death haunts her. Quote, I would say the hardest part for me is I've just been thinking, what did she eat last? What were her thoughts when she was being unalived? Did she yell for help, Basically just what were her last moments? We're just trying to make sense of it all. Clalton told Houston Fox affiliate KRIV that her sister met the suspect after their mother died in 2021. Quote, we met this particular person we're talking about. She just got off track, Clalton told the outlet. She said the relationship was violent and she also often saw wounds on her sister's face, but she kept it secret. Okay, we're going to pause here just a little bit. If you do see a family member that may be in a red flag relationship, try to get them help. Try to say, don't keep it secret. Try to talk to them about it. Look, there are often signs, and having been on the other side, if you can just sit there and say, hey, Look, I'm noticing some scary things. I want you to know that I will be there for you if you ever decide that you need help. Would have been wonderful to hear, and maybe not so much judgment, because when you're in that kind of relationship, it's incredibly soul crushing, and you already feel not very smart for being in that kind of relationship to begin with. So, non judgmental assistance is often very helpful. In an interview before the word of the suspect's name got out, Houston's ABC affiliate KTRK interviewed Colton, calling the person responsible, quote, a devil, a person that doesn't have a heart, a person who doesn't care about life, a monster. Turner was booked on Thursday into Harris County Jail. It is unclear if she has an attorney. Yeah, I mean, this seems all sorts of crazy. I don't know. Look, if you're not happy in a relationship, get out of it. Don't go to crazy levels of insanity. Don't make bad choices. In other news, Ted Bundy might not have. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. It's a joke. Bite mark analysis has no basis in science, experts now say. Why is it still being used in courts? It's garbage, said Keith Howard, who spent 33 years in prison for rape and murder based on bite mark evidence before DNA exonerated him. Even now, as a free man, Keith Howard finds it hard to explain what it was like to sit in a courtroom on trial for rape and murder he knew he didn't commit, watching someone considered an expert with certitude that an expert testify with certitude that bite marks on the victim's leg matched his teeth. Quote, still to this day, I wonder what the hell just went on, he told NBC News at his home in North Carolina. Sometimes I break down and bawl because I can't explain to you or anyone else other than people who have been in my situation. No evidence connected Howard to the horrific 1982 crime, but he happened to be among a group of sailors from a Navy ship in dry dock in Newport News, Virginia, who were required to give dental impressions since the assailant had been wearing a naval uniform. Two forensics dentists told separate juries that Howard's teeth matched to a, quote, scientific certainty, end quote, the bite mark on the rape victim's skin. Harwood spent 33 years in prison until, with the help of the Innocence Project, he was exonerated in 2016 by DNA evidence that pointed to another sailor as the killer. The Innocence Project says Harward is among at least 36 people who have been exonerated after being wrongfully convicted based on now debunked bite mark comparisons. One of them, Eddie Lee Howard, who was on death row in Mississippi when he was freed in 2021 after crime scene DNA was matched to someone else. 4 separate government scientific bodies have concluded that bite mark analysis has no basis in science. That includes the Presidential Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, which said in 2016 that, quote, available scientific evidence strongly suggests that examiners not only cannot identify the source of a bite mark with reasonable accuracy, they cannot even consistently agree on whether an injury is a human bite mark, end quote. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, the gold standard of measurement science, said in 2022 that bite mark forensics, quote, lacks a sufficient scientific foundation because human dental patterns have not been shown to be unique at the individual level, end quote. One 2016 study found that self-described experts couldn't distinguish between human and animal bite marks. You know, everything that Forensic Files told me is becoming a lie. Robert Stack, I love your deep, glossy baritone, but you have lied to me all these years. Forensic Files, I need one thing in my life to be true. You lied to me about ballistics. You lied to me about bite mark stuff. I mean, come on. And blood spatter. Forensic files. Look, I'm hanging on by a thread here. 2024 is coming out swinging, all right? I need you to to leave me something. Others have documented how marks in the human skin change over time through healing or decomposition. Quote, people that were board certified did not agree about what a bite mark was, said Adam Friedman, a forensic dentist who once, quote, drank the Kool-Aid of bite mark analysis, but has since become one of its biggest critics within the profession. If a science is not a science and it's not reproducible and it's not reliable, courts of law should not be allowed in, or should not allow in, period. Yet bite mark analysis has been used in thousands of cases, and while it has been increasingly successfully challenged by defense lawyers, no court has ruled it inadmissible. Quote, there are still many people, and we don't even know how many, still in jails because of bite mark testimony, Friedman said. It really is horrifying that this is still allowed to be used in courts of law where these issues there are issues of life and liberty. Chris Fabricant, an Innocence Project lawyer and author of Junk Science and the American Criminal Justice System, said his team has consistently blocked the introduction of bite mark evidence in courtrooms around the country, even as it continues to seek the exoneration of defendants imprisoned based on the discredited discipline. But he said none of the forensic dentists who testified based on what are now discredited methods have been held accountable. My sense of outrage is what gets me out of bed every day, he said. Friedman said, I can tell you that literally thousands of human years have been spent in jail based on faulty testimony. Hiya, Giraffe Girl. There is no data showing how often bite marks have been used in prosecutions. Anecdotal evidence suggests that the number has declined steeply, but that prosecutors still sometimes try to introduce bite marks at trial. Professional associations of forensic odontologists responded to the NIST report by saying, while they agree with, quote, many details, end quote, in the report, and know the issues surrounding bite marks and acknowledge past concerns, the NIST's rejection of bite mark evidence is too broad. Yeah, I do wonder how many things will be discredited. I mean, we've stopped using lie detectors are correct in 60% of the cases. They're about as good as a coin flip, to be honest. 60%. I do wonder, if ballistics is going to get the old heave ho very soon. It is remarkable to see in my lifetime certain things that were solid science and sort of, agreed upon and the science change and become discredited. It is very interesting to see science change before my eyes. Quote, critics continue to overlook the strides made by forensic odontology to address these concerns. It is critical to reiterate that the cases where odontologists misidentified bite perpetrators occurred in the 1980s and 1990s. Today's odontologists do not adhere to the standards that were in place during the era, yet we continue to be judged by them. Charles McCroy is spending his 38th year behind bars, convicted of unaliving his wife. The bite mark expert in his case recanted his testimony, saying he now knows he cannot say whether a bite mark on the victim matches McCroy's teeth, yet the Alabama courts have declined to free McCroy. Alabama Court of Criminal Appeals ruled earlier this year that the jury was capable of deciding on its own whether the bite marks matched, finding that ignores science suggests such perceived visual matches cannot be valid. The court also cited other evidence in the case, including a witness who said he saw McCroy's truck at the house at the time of the murder. No physical or forensic evidence links him to the crime. Well, yeah. I will fight for that one. I believe Pluto needs to become look, we have 9 planets. We have 9 planets, we need 9 planets back, so unless we find Nemesis, we need to go ahead and replanet Pluto. Come on now. 3 years ago, after bite mark evidence in his case collapsed, McCroy was offered a deal, plead guilty and walk free. He refused. Quote, I refused to take it because I did not kill her, McCroy told NBC News from his prison facility. I did not kill my wife. The Innocence Project is now pushing appeals through federal courts. Quote, prison is hard. A lot of stories that you see on the news about prisons, particularly Alabama prisons, are true, McCroy said. It's a nasty place. It's not a place I would wish on anyone. I don't give up hope, he said. And there's certainly days of disappointments and days when you're down and out, but I just believe that somewhere there's a truth in all of this that will come out, and you can't give up. That's just not an option. Harvard was released in 2016 and is living proof that a second act is possible after decades spent wrongly locked up. Awarded $1 million in compensation by Virginia, the 67-year-old lives quietly in rural North Carolina, taking occasional RV trips with his girlfriend and puzzling over smartphones and social media. He continues to speak out about bite mark evidence, which robbed him of half of his life and kept him from attending his parents' funerals. Quote, it's garbage, it's crap, it doesn't mean anything, he said. A few years ago, he traveled to a conference of forensic dentists in New Orleans and confronted them about bite marks. Many were sympathetic, he said, but there's an old guard that clings to the past. Quote, how many times do you have to be told you're wrong before you give it up, he said. So I do foresee someone taking this up and putting this to a Supreme Court test in the next several years. Along with ballistics evidence, I think that it's becoming more commonplace to question these things. You know, we no longer use, or we don't use lie detector tests, and I think this is going to become something that defense attorneys are going to use. Um, in, well, this is sad. Look, I just started pulling up random stories. It's all about the caucuses today, and I don't want to deal with the caucuses because I don't do politics here. I flew from the U.S. to England to see my boyfriend. He broke up with me as soon as I got there. Well, ma'am, that's where you just go on a pub crawl and you find yourself a new English guy. Yeah, I'm pretty ticked off about the low amount. My boyfriend and I met in college while he was an exchange student. He had to return to England and it broke my heart. I planned to visit for winter break. As soon as I arrived in London, he broke up with me. Ma'am, it's called go to any pub. Find another dude. All of them have English accents over there, unless you run into the other one American guy. At first, I fell for his British accent, then I fell for him. He was an exchange student from England. We met in our junior year of college. We also spent the summer together. I took him to meet my parents, after all. Okay, no problem. I'm sorry. Look, I told her to just go try to find Harry Potter. Look, it's London. They all have British accents. Look, I'm sure she could find someone. I took him to meet my parents after all. I'd fallen in love. I was his first serious girlfriend. We discussed getting married after graduation. He described a quiet life hanging out at a pub after work. Perhaps it was something I could get used to, but I didn't know firsthand. Yeah, I'd kick him in the jewels. Look, I'd risk getting arrested for assault after flying across the Atlantic Ocean. I'm just saying. Don't piss off Mo. My heart broke once it was time for him to return to England for our senior year. I missed him terribly and foolishly overextended myself with activities and extra studies to avoid heartbreak. We talked regularly about seeing each other during the holidays. He also sent me a special gift nearly every week. Despite the distance, we seemed strong. Finally, it was time for me to see him in London. Winter break had arrived. When I got there, something was off. I'd flown 8 hours to see him, and not only were we driving on the wrong side of the road, but he seemed strange. He wasn't talking either. Was it the jet lag or something else? I thought. Jokingly, I asked, "So are you seeing anyone?" There was a long pause, and immediately I knew the answer. Once we got to his house, he left me alone to cry. Ouch. Then he said he didn't want to hurt my feelings over the phone. Sir Douche Canoe, let me splainerate something. You would be less of an ass if she didn't spend money for the damned ticket. 'Cause now she's in London for a week, with no place to stay, because I'm sure she was planning on crashing at your house, but now she's going to be crashing with you and your girlfriend. You, sir, are a douche canoe. Holy God, you are a bellend. We'll go with an Englishism. You, sir, are a double douche. She was an exchange student from America he'd recently spent time with, whose boyfriend was on his way overseas, just like me. Maybe that's when he found it was over too. Y'all, you're both wrong. You're both wrong. Other exchange student girl, and you are both cheaters, and you both deserve each other. Somehow he convinced me to stay. No, ma'am, no, 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 no. No, no, no. No, you haul your ass to the nearest Holiday Inn or whatever they have over there. You find yourself the nearest pub, and you go on yourself a pub crawl, and you find yourself some British women, and you tell them the story that this man done did to you, and they will take you out for the love of all that is holy. But I wanted to see the country ever since I'd never been to England. Maybe a tiny part of me was trying to get him back. No. My fairy tale fantasy was not to be. As we traveled all over, meeting up with his friends and family, they would all tell me how upset they were with him and ask how he could do this to me. It was awkward. At one point, we thought we would get back together from sheer will of those in my camp, but he'd already moved on. I had to decide, stay heartbroken or pick up the pieces and move on. Ma'am, again, you are in London. Every single bloke there's gonna have an English accent. I'm just saying. There is a cornucopia of men's out there with British accents. You are in the land of British accents. I'm sure you can find one that's not a douche pickle like this dude. Just saying. The first step to admit it was over. He wasn't the type to handle the next step in a relationship if he couldn't tell me he'd met someone else because he feared hurting my feelings. Yeah, he seemed like a manlet. Then I decided I was going to be okay. I knew I could move on from such an awful situation if I could handle being blindsided without losing my sanity. All right, this is a self-helpy thing. Yeah, seriously. I mean, ma'am, you fell in love with an English accent. I'm trying to help you here. You are in the Isle of English accents. You can even go to Wales. I mean, they speak Welsh, but it's an accent. You might be able to understand them after 10 or 15 years. Look, I understand Mahler, and he's from Wales. You know, I didn't have a very fancy wedding, but, I didn't get arrested. So there is that. Here's hoping for our vow renewal, though. Mo's gonna be off the chain. A bride was arrested on her wedding day in Mexico, authorities announced Friday, accused of an extortion scheme that included her would-be husband and 6 other suspects. Well, the couple that felonies together, the felonious couple is the harmonious couple. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, right? Also, God, the tulle on this sucks. Whoever made your wedding dress really hated you. Look, I'm sorry. That tulle is awful. The woman, only identified as Nancy N. by Mexico state prosecutors, was arrested last month in a joint operation as she was preparing to marry her spouse. Another extortion suspect, identified as Clemente N. However, authorities were unable to apprehend the groom. Well, that he done left you at the altar and left you with the felony? Ma'am. This night is all about partners that suck. You got the lady that unalive neck hugged. You got bite mark craziness. You got Britain ball sack. You got this guy leaving his wife with a felony. Just what the hell, people? Who goes by the alias Mouse? Well, I say look in small corners and behind my dishwasher. Get a cat. The couple was part of a group accused of extorting chicken merchants in Toluca near Mexico City and suspected of kidnapping 4 workers from a poultry shop in Toluca, authorities said. One of the 8 suspects arrested, identified as Santiago N., was accused of, quote, driving an Explorer truck to transport the kidnapped victims. Prosecutor's office posted photos of the suspects involved in the extortion scheme, as well as a video montage showing Nancy N. in handcuffs still wearing her wedding dress, as well as photos of alleged evidence. Suspects allegedly have ties to the La Familia Michoacana drug cartel. I was like, they're from Michigan? Because, only I would say that. I was like, they're from Michigan. But I don't believe this originates in Michigan, I'm guessing. The prosecutor's office said earlier this month the same cartel was blamed for a drone attack in the southern state of Guerrero that left at least 6 people dead. Misael N., who goes by the alias Chicken, oh, please let her, code name be Platypus. Oh, yes, that would be awesome. But please let her code name be Platypus. We've got Mouse, we've got Chicken. I need her name to be Platypus. Come on, 2024. We got Taxidermy Hamster. I need her nickname to be Platypus. Let's see. Allegedly controlled extortion activities in the region, while Nebor N. was identified by authorities as the main hoarder and controller of chicken and egg trade. I don't know. I guess I could find out. I'm sure they do. Authorities say the rival gangs have been fighting for extortion control in the region. Well, because the government is so awesome down there that rival gangs have extortion regions that they try to keep going. They say the dispute ramped up in last July when human remains and warning notes were recovered in Tolka. Prosecutor's office subsequently arrested 11 members of a criminal gang known as El Pencha. In 2023, the Mexican State Prosecutor's Office reported a decrease of 3.44% in extortion. Almost a 4% decrease in extortion. Mexico, you are doing a great job. Compared to the previous year, like our inflation, you just keep pulling that number on the nightly news, and you know what? Someday everyone will believe you and feel the change. Yes, they will. They will make a wedding dress in any color. There are black wedding dresses. I have seen multicolored wedding dresses. We will. Once they reach 5%, it really just, it's exponential, as our president says. I love when he uses exponential instead of exponential. He's made a Moism all of his own. Look, I make up words. He makes up words. It's great. Specific efforts to crack down on the extortion of poultry and egg businesses has resulted in losses of about $47 million for criminal groups. Yikes. Look, prosecutors, I'm not saying, but keep your head on a swivel. Y'all live in Mexico and those cartels are no joke. So thanks for keeping the fluffy nuggets safe, but also keep yourself on a swivel because those cartels do not play. In sad news, no joke, feds are banning humorous electronic messages on the highways. Now, I do not have the hacking skills to continue making funny signs, but I believe that it is a national need to have funny signs regardless. Phoenix, and from the American or the Associated Press, it's no joke. Humorous and quirky messages on electronic signs will soon disappear from the highways and freeways across the country because the government wants you to feel no joy or happiness in your life. Why would we want that? The U.S. Federal Highway Administration has given states 2 years to implement all the changes outlined in its new 1,100-page manual. Huh. Well, 1,100 pages. That'd be a great doorstop. Released last month, including rules that spell out how signs and other traffic control devices are regulated. Administration officials said overhead electronic signs with obscure meanings, references to pop culture, or those intended to be funny will be banned in 2026 because they can be misunderstood or distracting to drivers. Okay. The agency, which is part of the U.S. Department of Transportation. Okay, you're telling me Pete Buttigieg, the man who giggles and laughs and does the most ridiculous damn things ever, his Department of Transportation doesn't want to have us feel happy, sparkly feelings all the time? What the hell? Yes, please. Challenge accepted. Please, Lord. The sign should be simple, direct, brief, legible, and clear, and only used for important information such as warning drivers of crashes ahead, adverse weather conditions, and traffic delays. Yes, but I think, telling people to, hey, hella raid, yay! Thank you guys for coming over. Yeah, no, I say, look, not that look, Duct Tape and Holy Water Productions takes no time to advise any hackers of any type to take into their own hands federal signage. But if in Minecraft one should take over federal signage and make funny dick jokes the entire time, well then, I think it's a victimless crime. The government has nothing better to do. We have nothing, that we need to worry about with transport, such as some failing infrastructure or, maybe bridges, things that we need to worry about. Anything. Funny signs. Funny signs is what we need to go to war about. Okay. Well, thank you, Pete Buttigieg, for being a total butt. Let's read on. Among those that will be disappearing are messages such as "use your blinker" In Massachusetts, visiting the in-laws, slow down, get there late from Ohio. Don't drive Star Spangled Hammered from Pennsylvania. Hocus Pocus, drive with focus from New Jersey. Hands on your wheel, not on your meal in Arizona. Arizona has more than 300 electric signs from above its highways. For the last 7 years, the State Department of Transportation has held a contest to find the funniest, most creative signs. Anyone? He was he was not a good he was not a good mayor for South Bend, and he has no experience in transportation. The buses never worked on time in South Bend when he was the mayor. So I it he hasn't been stellar at anything he did. And then with the Palestine train thing, he just kind of really ticked me off. But him personally, I don't care. I'm ambivalent about him as a person. I've never met him. Him as a politician, yee. Okay, I will do the Massachusetts one more time because Eris is a great mod. Use your blinker. The humor part of it we kind of like, said State Rep David Cook, a Republican from Globe, told Phoenix TV station CBS 5. I think Arizona, the majority of us do, if not all of us. He said he didn't understand the fuss. Why are you trying to have the federal government come in and tell us what we can do in our own state? Prime example that the federal government is not focusing on what they need to. Oh, well, I'm sure he's a nice person. As the transportation secretary, I don't know that he's done a great job. Um, in sort of personal news, as I have family members who were SEALs, this is pretty sad. Navy SEALs are missing after going overboard during a search for weapons near Somalia. One sailor fell into rough, nighttime waters. A second jumped in to rescue the first. Officials said before both disappeared into the darkness. Well, yeah. I mean, look, he's a politician. I don't know that I like any politicians. If I met him out just, cruising around, look, as long as he wasn't in the weird, Speedo thing that he bikes in, I think I'd be okay. Two Navy SEALs are missing after they fell into rough nighttime sea while raiding a small ship off of Somalia, two U.S. defense officials told NBC News. The SEALs were trying to climb onto a type of small boat known as a dhow Thursday night when one of them fell amid the rough seas, the defense officials said, speaking anonymously to give details of the incident. A second sailor jumped into rescue the first as protocol dictates. Both disappeared into the darkness, officials said. Now in the fourth day since the sailors went overboard, search and rescue efforts by sea and air continue over the waters, which are warm. The two sailors attached to Naval Special Warfare Command Unit were searching sailboats in the Gulf of Aden looking for illegal goods such as weapons or drugs. They were attached to the Fifth Fleet, based in Bahrain. Quote, for operational security purposes, we will not release additional information until the personnel recovery operation is complete, said an earlier statement from the U.S. Central Command, which oversees the military in the Middle East and parts of Asia. Out of respects for the families affected, we will not release further information on the missing personnel at this time. The sailors were not part of the international mission to protect shipping from attack by Yemen's Houthis in the Red Sea, which the Gulf of Aden leads into. However, in recent years, the U.S. and its Western allies have conducted regular missions to intercept weapons on ships suspected of supplying the Iran-backed Houthis who support Hamas and say they want to destroy the state of Israel. Meanwhile, Sunday, a U.S. fighter jet shot down an anti-ship cruise missile fired toward an American destroyer in the Red Sea from Houthi militant-controlled areas of Yemen, the U.S. military said. It appeared to be the first Houthi attack since American-led strikes on sites the rebel group controls in Yemen, the latest of which targeted a Houthi radar site Saturday night. That strike was on a much smaller scale than the coordinated strikes Thursday, when U.S. and British militaries targeted more than 60 sites, a response to a weeks of attacks on international shipping. Well, look, I only picked this story because I do have family members that used to be in the special services, and these are the type of things that they do, and I feel terrible for their family. You know, as a family of someone in the, special services, hey, at any time you can get a call out. You might not even know where they're going. They can't tell you that. And, you know, you're always worried that you're going to get that call. And then there's times where they might go radio silent for a long time, and it's hard on marriages, it's hard on families, it's hard on everything, and I'm sure it's really, really hard on their family. So that is the reason I'm not getting political, although I do have commentary, because why the F are we starting another effing war with people we don't need to effing be dealing with? But oh, flip yes, it's ugh. Okay, I'm gonna get a little political here. It is never these freaking politicians' kids. It's never their kids, it's never their husbands, it's never their wives, it's never their daughters. I mean, unless they're, officers or in the background doing, safety stuff like freaking Beau Biden and freaking Jag, and he was back behind the line of fire, and he might have, yes, been exposed to some depleted uranium, stuff. But honest to God, I am so damn tired of these politicians starting flare-ups and fling-ups and every daggone thing when it's never their kids or their people going out to fight it. So how about you shut up and sit down unless it's your people going out there? The end. Sorry about that. We shall continue to this douchebag. Quote, he did not want this child. Well, isn't that special? Sir, it's called, get over it, be an adult. Or this. Man strangled pregnant estranged wife because he didn't want to have to pay for baby's health insurance. Sir, I believe we have a one-way ticket to a special island for you, sir. It's called Snake Island. There are many snakes, and you'll be sent there. A 30-year-old man in New York may spend the rest of his life behind bars for killing his estranged pregnant wife 3 years ago, strangling her to death inside her home because he didn't want to pay for the new baby's health insurance. Nassau County Supreme Court Judge Robert A. McDonald on Thursday ordered Michael Owen to serve a sentence of 25 years to life in a state correctional facility for the 2020 slaying of 27-year-old Kelly Owen, authorities announced. A jury in Nassau County convicted Michael Owen of one count of second-degree murder in his estranged wife's. Yeah, you'll put your water canteen down and they'll just knock it off the boulder. And then you'll think you can pet them and they'll attack you. Quote, Michael Owen drove to his estranged wife's house on January 15th, 2022, with the intention of unaliving her, the district attorney Ann T. Donnelly said in a statement following the sentencing hearing. Kelly was a young mother and pregnant with Owen's child at the time of her murder. She worked with children and had dreams of becoming a nurse. Michael Owens stole those dreams, and now he'll have to pay for his crimes in prisons. Our thoughts remain with Kelly's family at this time as they continue to mourn her loss. As previously reported by Law and Crime, Michael and Kelly Owen married in 2013, had a child together, then separated in March 2018. They continued a physical relationship for some time after separating, but authorities said that two ended when Michael Owen became violent. Investigators determined that Michael Owen decided to kill his wife, a nursing student, after she told him she was pregnant with their second child. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't prove that it was that premeditated. Or maybe he went over there and they didn't. I don't know how it's second degree. Prosecutors said Michael Owens already had money problems as well as a new girlfriend and didn't want another baby. Evidence showed that he particularly did not want to pay for the new baby's medical insurance. Okay, I don't understand why you'd think the child support. I am confused. Quote, he did not want this child. Nassau County Police Department Detective Lieutenant Stephen Fitzpatrick said in a statement after his arrest, he did not want to give her medical insurance. He had this new relationship he was involved in, and he was in a bad position. According to the DA's office, Kelly Owen on January 15th, 2020, was at her apartment in Farmingdale when the attack took place. Kelly Owen's apartment was in her parents' home, and on that morning, her father walked her 6-year-old son to school. She and Michael Owen shared custody of the boy. Kelly Owen worked as an after-school program aide at a local elementary school between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m., prosecutors said. When she failed to call in sick or show up for work that day, a colleague called her parents to see where she was. Kelly Owen's parents discovered her lifeless body inside the apartment. What? That's a douche canoe move to the nth degree, squared and cubed. You left her body for her parents to find, or even potentially your son. You are so gross. The autopsy determined she'd been strangled to death with a rope-like object and was in the early stages of pregnancy. Surveillance footage obtained by its investigators showed that Michael Owen had been in the victim's neighborhood at about 9:30 a.m. on the morning of her death. Michael Owen, who is employed as a cell site technician, was parked 2 blocks away from Kelly's house and turned his phone off before arriving in Farmingdale. Sir, if you turn off your phone, they're going to know you're committing an unaliving. You've got to leave it on, but at your apartment, you dingus. But with one of those jiggler things, so they think you're using it. So you have to have one of your friends playing Pokemon Go, doing something else, but dressed like you. Really, why am I giving you advice? You're dumb and you're in jail and I hate you, so have Gen Pop Justice fun, allegedly. However, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can find happy news. Babylon Bee. Save us all. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. You're not laughing. Terrified Texans open fire on strange white stuff falling from the sky. Dallas, Texas. According to reports, terrified Texans have taken up arms to fire on strange white substance falling from the sky. Quote, I don't understand it and I don't intend to, said local Dallas resident Billy Carson as he fired a pair of six-shooters into the sky. You'll never take us alive. We'll fight to the last man. Yeehaw. Yes. Governor Greg Abbott issued a statement in which he asked Texas residents to remain calm as they sort out the strange new threat. Quote, we don't know if it's an attack from outer space or some sort of fallen ice, the governor said. It's too soon to tell, but it's clear beyond a reasonable doubt that our way of life will forever be changed. Make peace with God. Death is fallen from the sky. The white substance, which North Texans call snow, has been leaked to a series of vandalism cases in which water pipes have burst and electric lines have snapped under the weight of so-called ice. At publishing times, millions of Dallas residents were buried alive under 2 inches of cold white stuff. I'm dead. D-I-D dead. Oh. Let's read the op-ed. Should I buy a sword? That'll be our last story, because I think this will be a good one. Yeah, Anna Lissette, I think we all needed a laugh. 3 days of below zero weather, keeping pipes from freezing in my vacation home, doesn't have central heating, keeping the wood stove going all night. Yikes. We just got a wood stove put in mainly for aesthetics, but it does help with heat. And yeah, it's a chore to keep that going. So my goodness, yes, you do need a break and some laughs. Absolutely. Op-ed, should I buy a sword? The answer is yes. Unless you have my young feral son, then the answer is no, hell no, do not buy it. You do not want to have to explain to the ER why someone doesn't have an arm. Should I buy a sword? I feel it's my duty as a man to maintain in my possession a weapon resplendent with both a storied ancestry and a capacity to skewer the unassuming burglar. Plus, it would look sweet on the wall next to my Super Mario Brothers poster. The sword has played no small role in forging history for the better. Since its Bronze Age birth millennia past, it has impaled, chopped, and lopped its way through battles, revolutions, and rebellions in the coolest way possible, as well as create a lasting impact on modern culture. If the Star Wars kid can achieve fame and fortune huffing and swinging a broom handle like a twin-blade Wakashaki samurai sword, then there is nothing stopping me from swinging my own well-balanced blade of razor-sharp folded steel in my backyard. Will I ever wield a sword to protect my family from a barbaric, mace-wielding, village-pillaging foes as I was required of my valiant ancestors of old? Not likely. Will I ever be skilled enough to flourish my blade and deflect oncoming bullets from Russian invaders? For sure, and I pray for that day to come swiftly. Following a quick 57 hours of research and some heart-wrenching decisions, I have narrowed my choice down to 2 gleaming prospects. The classic one-handed 5-lobe Viking sword or the impressively 2-handed Damascus steel Oslo blade, each hails from my probably pure Viking ancestry. And has its own particular usefulness in melee combat. It's forged with 5160 high carbon steel, dual hardened, forged. I should forge a sword. This sounds like my. Look, this is what happens when you let your husband watch. There is a reality show about guys that do blacksmithing. This is what happens when you let your husband watch that. So those are the stories tonight. Look, if you fall in love and you go to England and the bloke says he doesn't like you, Go to a nail salon and you tell them what that man did to you, and those women will take you on a pub crawl and they will find you another dude with an English accent, okay? Now, I don't know about getting a sword. Look, they're not allowed in my house because I have 3 feral boys, and I'd like all limbs attached in my house. Bite mark is bullshit, at least allegedly. So remember that it's becoming a science that we are no longer quite so sure about. So maybe Ted Bundy didn't do it. Just kidding. He totally did it. He did all the things. Let's be real. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Stay warm, stay safe. I know it's cold. I do believe Styx Hexenhammer, if you are looking for political news, is doing live updates of the Iowa caucus. He is great. He does look like Jesus, but he does curse and he's sarcastic. So Styx Hexenhammer here or on Rumble. He does do really good political analysis. And I don't know who is on next. Not so much. Look, I'm pretty sure that my son either threw his backpack away or on the roof. I'm having a hard enough time keeping his backpack attached to his body. Let's not add swords. It's just, it's just, no, no, for my sanity and, you know, hey, I'd get goats, but first I need emotional support nuggets. I want some chickens. I just have to figure out how to wrangle it through the HOA. Allegedly. Have a wonderful evening, you guys. I will be back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow with Mornings with Mo and Fry. Fry will be back. He is hanging out with his bestest kid. Griffin is trying to use him like a butt hound. That's exactly how he said it. To go sniff out his backpack by using a sock. I'm too tired to argue, so I just said, you go make him your butt hound. You know, it is what it is. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends and family. I'll be here all week. Try the veal. Tip your waitress. You know the deal. Just, I can't anymore. This child's either going to make my hair fall out, in which case I already have wigs. So really, it's not a big deal. Have a great evening, guys. Bye.